Welcome to Domain to Profit. I'm Drew Wash, and today we are going to be talking about, why should we even bother? There's a reason why I'm asking that question, and it's primarily the idea that, everybody has this doe-eyed fantasy about what it means to run a business. We all think that I'm going to be the boss. I'm going to be in charge. It's going to be so nice because I'm going to be the one that gets to decide everything. And the fact is maybe it's not as clear cut as what we might think. Realistically, when you run a business, you're going to have to deal with things like, who takes out the garbage? It's probably going to be you. Cleaning toilets, all the things that go with just running a household is going to be part of your business right off the bat. Or how about this? When you get sued, when somebody threatens with a lawsuit, it's coming to you. There's not somebody to hand that off to. You're going to be solving problems, dealing with all kinds of things that you've never dealt with before, and you have to have a reason why that you're even going to do that. Otherwise, why bother? Why bother, starting a business? So today we're going to be looking at exactly that. Why bother? Why take on all the responsibility, all the trouble of starting one of these businesses? On this show, I talk about each of these domain names as, I spell out the rainbow that's leading to some pot of gold off in the distance. And the fact of the matter is, between where you are in that pot of gold is a perilous journey. It's a path that you're going to have to go where you're going to have obstacles and all kinds of things that you're going to have to overcome. It's going to be tiring. It's going to be hard. I love it, but I have a good reason why. So let's get into why a little bit today. So if you would, say hi in the chat. Let me know you're here. If you know your why, you can just hit yes or no. I don't necessarily need to know what it is because realistically, it's more important that you know what it is. And like this video, share it if you can, because we want to make sure that we're developing domains. This is From Domain to Profit.
From domain to profit, from a .com to a business idea. Take a domain name, develop an income from domain to profit. We'll show you how. Domain to profit, from domain to profit. Join Drew Wash and get started right now.
Okay. I got to hit the mute. From now on, when that credit thing rolls, somebody say, Drew, unmute. Okay. But we are back. Sorry about that. I got to remember to hit mute. Or unmute. So I appreciate that, Michael. So what I did say, though, was, Vito, I just mentioned, said hi to you guys. And Vito, I might mention remote events later on. That was one of the things that, one of the domains that might tie into some of the domains we have. So we take domain names and we turn them into businesses. We talk about the plan and how it might happen and how you might turn that domain name, this property that's sitting out in the wild somewhere, and turn it into a business. And it's good stuff. And today we have some great domain names, some absolutely, let me just tell you how great the domain names are today. The domain names are so good that it put me in an ethical bind here, because I actually, it's the second time ever that I've thought about this, but I found some domain names that I almost didn't want to share. They're so good and they're so buried in the databases of expired domain names that I'm like, ooh, if I don't tell anybody about this, they won't even know about it. And so it's one of those things where I thought about not sharing them, but I don't want to do that. Realistically, I want you to have an opportunity. So, hopefully there's not too much of an echo. Sorry if there is one. if it is too bad, if others are experiencing Vito's echo and it is unbearable, let me know. I'll go to my headset. So, because I definitely want it to be, reasonable quality. So more on that later on, though. So, okay. So here we go. I want to go into our first 3-minute business plan. So first I got to set it up. Okay. So on Domain to Profit, we use the 3-minute business plan over here. And this takes us from the domain at the top, the problem, the solution, how we might sell it through the unique selling proposition. And then we also can talk about the authority, that is trustworthiness, testimonials, and all kinds of good, like how will they trust and know what you do? And then awareness is how do they even hear about you? So that's, how do you get in front of the customer? And that's all on one page, and you can download that PDF at that URL down there. No email or registration required to get that. And this is a template. That URL will always include the most recent one, which I always say, as of some point, it's going to be updated pretty well. So I want to get to our first domain name, and that domain name we will go with, that is from last week. I'm going to start with the best domain name I found in the entire, no, I'm not. I got a really good domain. I'm going to make you wait, though. Let's start with this one here. We're going to start with beachswimwear.com, beachswimwear.com. We'll start with something nice, light, and simple. Beachswimwear.com. I'm going to start the timer. This is over on GoDaddy, ends in 3 days. And beachswimwear.com is mixing. It's usually either beachwear or swimwear, but beach swimwear, I think, makes sense. And the domain name is that there. The problem that I'm solving for, or that I would love somebody out there to develop a product that it's swimwear specifically for the beach. Now get this. It sheds and gets rid of sand really easily. That would be ideal. Like, can we get rid of the sand? Like, everybody loves the beach. I love the ocean. I love building sandcastles, but I don't like is getting sand up in between my leg, and it's miserable. So yeah. So I want some beachwear, some beach swimwear that gets rid of the sand. I don't know. Maybe we can't do that. But what we can do for sure is if there's products out there that are specifically beach wear, so beach swimwear, stuff that you would wear to the beach, maybe not necessarily swimming. I don't know. It's a pretty good domain for selling products related to, bikinis, one pieces, all the beach swimwear stuff, swim trunks. I don't know. I think that I typically like to take a domain name and share it with others. One of the way that you can do that is a bit of a marketplace. So in this case, kind of an Etsy type thing. In fact, I know people out there that design swimwear. This may be a good domain for them. So the idea is they can submit their products. You build up a big database of independent products of people that design and sell swimwear, and then maybe you get a commission through the sell or something along those lines. So I don't know. I think it's a pretty good domain name. The authority for this domain name is going to be, the domain's pretty clear, beach swimwear. It's a touch redundant, but it's pretty good domain name, has some authority. And when I say authority, I'm not talking search engine optimization domain authority. I'm talking authority as in you say the domain name out loud and people assume it has a role in that industry. If you hear beachswimwear.com, like I assume that on that site is going to be beach swimwear. It's going to have swim trunks and things like that. That's what we're going for, to where you can say the domain name and people automatically assume that domain name matters to that industry. And I do believe we get some of that authority for this domain name. Awareness, since we're going to be selling a product. Well, if we sell products, we look for pay-per-click and things that are transactional. So pay-per-click, pay search, audience building through Facebook. Or if we go SEO or monthly subscription, then that's going to put the emphasis on search engine optimization and that free Google traffic. Free as in you have to work your butt off to get it, but you can get it. So that is our first one. beachswimwear.com. As always, how would you develop it? That is a question that I want to dive into a little bit today, is the how a little bit more. I was talking to one of my programmers, Matt, and Matt, he gives me feedback and on the show all the time, which I very much appreciate. Anybody that ever has feedback, I love it. And I was talking about, this idea that I would start to do more along the lines of how to, like, how do I do this? How would I do this? And one of the things that he said was, people could find that information elsewhere. What really makes what you do special is I get passionate about the idea and the starting of the business, which is true. Anything else I do is going to feel like work to me. So what I want to do is start to do the 3-minute business plan, but at the same time, build out a little bit more and expand on the start of a business. We won't do it with beach swimwear, but we're going to do that with a couple domain names today. And we're just going to try to figure out how I can take that idea, break it down for you in a way that you can say, oh, yes, I can build that. I can solve the problems necessary to make this business happen. So hopefully that sounds interesting. Hopefully that's something that is of interest, because realistically, if I can get you closer to actually developing a domain name and make it feel like you're just taking a one little step forward instead of, going off on some perilous journey like we talked about, then maybe we'll have more domains built, which is ultimately what I want to have happen from this show. So with that said, I want to do another 3-minute business plan. And I want to go to a domain name. So let me just tell you some of the domain names I have. I'm going to leave off a couple. I'm going to leave off my marquee, the ones that I'm really keeping from you right now. But I have cruisegurus.com. That one expires in 8 days, so I'm not in a big rush to do that one, but that's one I could do. Is there anybody out there interested in travel? Localflowerdelivery.com. That one's a pretty good one. We might talk about that today. Adconsole.com. I believe I'm going to do that one next. Badcontractors.com, pitchmaker.com, and streamingconcerts.com. Those are some of the domains that we might talk about later on. I have 2 domain names I'm not mentioning because they're so stinking good. I want to make sure that you have a reason to stick around to hear them. So, okay, well, here we go. I want to go and start with adconsole.com. This is going to be our next. We're going to do a 3-minute business plan, but then I want to actually introduce you to something that I'm playing with, an idea or a way to communicate a domain name to business idea. And I'd love some feedback on it. Does it help? Does it not help? Is it confusing? Because ultimately, I want to make sure that what I'm saying, the ideas or the things that we talk about here, get out to you in a way that you feel that you can do them. You can do them, just a matter of that communication piece. So there's a big future in developing these domains, and you can do it. I just want to make sure that I don't want to get in the way. I want to be the person that's spurring you on. So, okay, well, 3-minute for adconsole.com. So of all the domains I have this week, adconsole.com is one of the only ones that currently have bids. The domains, I think a lot of people are waiting longer into auctions to bid. So we don't get an idea really of what the domain's going to go for price-wise. But in this case, 2 days left for adconsole.com. It is going for $65 currently, which of course is going to go up over as a site or as auctions go. And because I didn't mention it, I will mention that the GoDaddy, here's the URL for GoDaddy auctions. I will leave that up for this auction. All of the domains today are on GoDaddy auctions. I didn't find anywhere else. So here we are. GoDaddy auction, ad console, only 2 minutes left. So my thought with this was, this is an opportunity at a SaaS type software. So software as a service. We can build a tool that people pay to use. So when you think of this domain name, ad console, we're talking about ads. In console typically would be, think of like your car dashboard or your car console. It would be a place that you would go to get an idea of what's going on. And if you've ever dealt with ads, you know that, well, when you're dealing with ads, there's a lot going on. So adconsole.com, the problem that we're looking at is we want adconsole.com. We want to build some internet software that helps people keep their ads all together. Maybe it's a matter of what they look like or what copy you're using or what the success. It would be a complicated build out, but this is a great domain for it. And really what we're looking to do is we're trying to solve the idea of bringing your ads in one place and building a console. There's other sites out there that do it. Let me try to pull some off the top of my head. I want to say similarweb.com, I believe, does it. SpyFu, SpyFu.com is another tool. They let you see other people's ads and see your ads, see what work. Some great tools already out there. They might even have APIs that you can pull in and use on adconsole.com. Then you find people that are looking for the format that you're able to provide that data in, and you charge them some monthly fee to participate in your software. This domain name really does build a nice stairwell towards having a SaaS program, which I will tell you, SaaS is huge, great way to build and sell a product and grow a business. If you're interested in advertising, that is. Authority is, the domain name's great. It's a great domain name. Awareness will be through probably pay-per-click ads because you're going to be charging a monthly subscription. You just got to charge less than what your lifetime value of that customer is. 3 minutes is up. But I want to do a little bit more of a deep dive on this domain name. Hopefully, somebody out there is interested in Ad Console enough to do that. And here's what I'm going to do. I went and I got, okay, let me tell you the problem that I'm dealing with. The problem that I have is that I want to get an entire business out of my brain based on a domain name, and I want to get it out to you. And I want to do that in such a way that hopefully it feels like it's something that you can do. It's simple enough. So here's what I want to do is I went and bought, I was trying to figure out how to do that. My thought was I'd use Skycam, and I have, the desk, and I was trying to write on the desk and things, which that works for the most part. The only thing is a lot of the businesses have common components. They have common processes, and that will make a little more sense as we get going on it. But how can I demonstrate what those are kind of quickly? So what I decided to do is I went and I bought some basic playing cards. These are blank on both sides, and they're glossy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, I got some, wet erase markers, and what I can do is I'm going to draw out like how I would build this out. What pages would I see being needed in order for this to actually become a website that makes profit? Hopefully that makes sense. So let me talk a little bit along this line about this over here, though, because I said today is going to be about, why bothering? If we're going to build out adconsole.com, why are we going to bother doing this? There's going to be a lot of challenges. If you're not a extreme programmer, like there's going to be a lot of database work. There's going to be a lot of, coding and things that go into it. You're going to have to deal with things that, unless you are already in that field, are something maybe you've not dealt with. So a lot of times what I talk about on a domain name is the domain name has value, potential, and by authority, I mean it has like a trustworthiness that's built into it right from the get-go. That's what I mean by authority. And I talk about typically what we're trying to do is just tap into it. We're just trying to tap in to where we can pull out some revenue from a domain name that is quality. We're talking $500 a month, $2,000 a month, $10,000 a month. We want to build something off of the domain itself, the power of that domain name. So when we talk about Ad Console, though, we're talking a little bit more about this up here. We're talking about, building on this great domain name, but realistically, we're going to have to build and put a lot of code in, and floor by floor, figure out a way how to turn adconsole.com into a business. So when we're talking about doing this extreme effort that's going to be required at the beginning, that effort is going to need a why. That's why bother? Why bother putting in all that effort? Well, hopefully you have a why. For me, I have lots of whys. The whys actually change over time. For me, I want to have an impact in my life. I want to make sure that, I was here, that I played it serious. You get this one life, and I'm a very intense person. I take it very serious, the life that I've been given. You don't have to. Perfectly fine. This is just me. But I want to leave as much of me on the field as possible. Our life is the field that we get to play on, and just like in sports, kind of like leave it all on the field, leave it all in the boxing ring. I want to leave it all on the field, so I want to play intense. That means I want to experience things. I want to build things. I want to create things. And all of that is my why. That's why I do this show here, because I can't create all these domains into businesses. I need you. I need to recruit you and try to help you, be inspired, show you the path forward to where you can create more domains. And I'm just the guy in the background that was kind of pushing you and helping you, hopefully encouraging you a little bit. All of that is part of my why. So if I was to pursue adconsole.com and I was going to have to build out this business, you're talking about needing more of a why. It's you're hopefully going to be interested in marketing. You're going to be interested in advertising. You're going to be interested in some of the things that will deal with this business. Otherwise, you better have a darn good why as to why you're diving into this. Otherwise, you're going to hit a burnout. So let's talk about some of the pieces, though, of what this site would look like. And maybe the pieces don't seem so intimidating. But even if they are, maybe you have a big enough why to overcome it. Something you love or something you hate. So I'm going to pull out these cards. And so for the most part, AdConsole is going to have a home page. Hopefully you can see these pretty okay. I can bring up my desk a little bit. If I don't, okay. Manual zoom in. I just raised my sit-stand desk. So on the home page of AdConsole, we're going to have a login. So it's user, password. So that's going to need to go off to a screen. We're going to probably have a lot of sales copy. So basically your unique selling proposition. That's kind of what we talk about on our domain down here. We're talking about what makes this domain name, this business unique to where people would actually want to try it out. So you're going to have your sales and marketing copy down on the bottom. So through here, what we're going to be doing is we're going to have the username and password. The login is going to take you in. You're going to have some database stuff. And this is going to take you to the dashboard. So if you're going to build this out, you're going to need a login script that you can keep your users in. That's going to be stored in a database. That's usually the sign you show for a database. And that login process is going to bring you to the dashboard. The dashboard is going to have various tools. And each of these tools is going to have a separate card that you're going to have to develop out. So your challenge, so if you see it, you're going to log in from the home page. You're going to be taken to a dashboard. And on that dashboard, you're going to have tools. So this, for example, would be this tool here. So your goal, or what we would look to do as part of the problem that we're solving with this business, is we're looking for the easiest tools that we can build to bring value to that customer. We need to find that pain point. What's the problem they're experiencing that would allow us to create a tool and provide a solution for it? It can be something very simple. This would be a little more in-depth dive into this specific industry. It might be something like Okay, how do you keep track of all your ads when you have ads on Yahoo, maybe Yahoo, ads in Bing, ads on Google, ads on YouTube, ads on Facebook, ads on Twitter, all these different ads. Maybe there's just a way that you provide a tool where they manually enter them in and then provide a link to go to the management of that ad or something. It can be some simple problem that you're solving. You're just giving them a place to have it all in. It's truly just a console or dashboard. Who knows what it is, but what you're looking to do is create that first step, something of value, some problem you're solving. And once you have that first tool, all you need is a homepage with a login. You come in, you check the username and password. There are lots of tools that do this. And then you take them to a list of the tools that are available to them. And then you have the that tool specifically. So what else do we have? As part of this sales, we're going to need a way to sign up, right? This is the part that is a little bit complicated. Well, not complicated. It's intimidating to a lot of people because you're dealing with payments. So you have your sales. Boom, hey, try your free trial or get started for $1 or get started for $10 a month or $99 per year, whatever it is. And then you're going to need a way to process your payments. As part of this process, you're also going to need, registration. And you will need registration, payment. And what would this look like? They would not be able to use the username and password to log in until they've went through this process. So anything, hopefully this is linear enough that you can follow it. So if you are going to do things over here on the dashboard, you need to make sure as part of this registration, you are getting anything that you're going to need in order to populate this dashboard over here. So things like their email address, here's where they're going to give you their username or password or their Facebook authentication, credit card payment information, which, you can Google where you can do payments. The Stripe's a big one. We use Braintree for a lot of our payments. Sorry, I know that's probably a lot of information to give just audio-wise, but Stripe or Braintree are the main ones. There's lots of them out there, though, and they will set up the either a reoccurring or a one-time charge. So from here, and I'm going to get off of this subject real quick. I'm going to try to wrap it up. But on here, so on the registration, what do we need? What kind of information are we going to need to gather? All of this form is going to go into the database. So realistically, here's what I'm showing you. Here's why this matters. You could write out these screens on paper and deliver them to somebody on Fiverr. You can give them to somebody on guru.com. You can find templates and things. This is literally how websites are built at my company, at nearly every company out there. Maybe not on cards, but this right here, this 11 by 17 back here, I take these giant pieces of paper, I go horizontal, and I draw out the screen that I'm looking to build, and I will do this for each of the different pages. So what I'm trying to do here is the card is the quick way of knowing what you're going to need. You may need a login. You're going to need a search page. You're going to need a dashboard. You're going to need the tool. Each of those things go on a card. And then you get that thought out of your brain. And then you can develop each of those cards into a more detailed 11 by 17 sheet of paper. And then take a photo with Office Lens. It's a smartphone app that I kind of recommend. It allows you to take like dry erase boards and it turns it into a nice, easy vector graphic that you can send off to people. But officelens.com. And if somebody will remind me of that, I'll add that to the tools. Add that to the tools list from domaintoprofit.com under tools. I list out all the tools that I recommend. Office Lens is worthy of being mentioned there. So hopefully that makes sense. I don't know. Give me some feedback, guys. What do you think? Does the idea of processing cards, we have a user login heading into the dashboard, into the tools. Part of the sales is going to take us through registration, payment, and then each of these could be taken and pulled into a larger screen, then what we're looking to do is have our tech side pull that screen together. First time I ever tried to use the cards. Hopefully it makes a little bit of sense. Hopefully it's worth pursuing. I plan on trying it and getting better at it. So let's do another 3-minute business plan. And for the next one, I'm going to bring up the first super secret domain name. You've bared with me through me experimenting with these cards. So I'm going to reward you with the first domain name that I honestly don't even want to tell you about because it's so good. And right now there's no one bidding on it. And I really think that, needless to say, you can probably guess whether I'll participate or not. So this next domain that we're going to pull up is this domain right here, found deep into the heart of the domain expired domains. It is here, bookpremier.com. Anyone out there find this one? Anyone have this on their short list of domains that are going to be expired? It expires in 2 days. 2 days, no bids yet. Currently at $12. Bookpremier.com. Okay. I got so I was checking the spelling and stuff. I'm like, certainly it's not spelled right. So let's start the timer. Bookpremier.com. I'm excited about this, especially because one of the things I'm looking to do this fall and winter is write a book. I'm going to write a book on the best practices and things of turning a domain name into a business. And in my research of, what this even looks like, talking to business coaches and things, it's all about the start of a book, the premiere of a book, like how you reach that audience at first, which when I saw this, I'm like, boom, that's brandable, but it also makes sense. If you're trying to launch a book, that book needs to have a premiere, right? Movies have premieres, but books never have premieres. So bookpremier.com I see as a service that helps independent authors promote their book for its launch, for its premiere. The problem is every year lots of people take the time to write a book. Maybe you've wanted to write a book. A lot of people have it on their list of things to do, but they never actually do it. But what the people that do, what they run into is they realize they've written something and don't actually have a way to get it out into the world. You can't just post something on Amazon that actually be found. You have to develop an audience and things. So the problem is, how do authors premiere their book? How do they get it out into the world? The solution, we hope, is going to be bookpremier.com, where we have books, their release dates on there, the people that are following it. It would be probably a service that per book they pay some fee, and then that book shows as a featured book and shows on a calendar, a very shareable, has a profile of the book, maybe book resources. If you're an avid reader like me, I read almost nothing but nonfiction, almost nothing but nonfiction, and books always have resources like PDF downloads and all the things that help you implement that book. You can have them all on bookpremier.com. Just such a good domain name for promoting a book. Hopefully you see that. Hopefully you can kind of use that imagination a little bit. Unique selling proposition is if you're wanting to launch your book, where better to do it than bookpremier.com. Authority, the domain name says exactly what it's doing. It's pushing a book out into the world for the first time. It's a book premiere. Great authoritative domain name. You can go to anyone writing a book and they would understand probably what you're going to have on that site just from the domain name alone, which that is the definition of the authority that I'm talking about. That idea that you can say it and you know what the service product is going to be on that. The awareness for that is going to be, it depends on how you monetize. Monetize based on subscription. You got the long tail. You got to do search engine optimization. If you do it based on transactions or subscription, I guess also you can do it based on pay-per-click and things. So, yeah, bookpremier.com. And Michael says, he says if you're going to bid, won't bid. It's one of those things where I have a very odd perspective when it comes to auctions, and that is, I want to get things as cheap as possible, but at the same time, I want to see domains valued at what they're worth. We all hold these domains in portfolios or in the back of our closet somewhere where we want to do something with it someday. These things are valuable. Domains are valuable. We don't want to hold them down. We want to build them up. And realistically, what I'm saying is, hey, bid against me. If you want it more than me, you're going to pay for it. Unfortunately, that means you have to want it more than I do. I told my wife, I said, I'm doing this free show from Domain to Profit, and I'm sure I've cost myself thousands of dollars because I'm paying more for domain names because of it. I just have a weird idea about what it means to be a domain investor and domain developer. These domains, they have Skycam's out. Okay. Well, our domains have value, and they have value because of what they are, what they represent, and we should want them to be as expensive as possible, not just to buy and sell, but also to develop on. If you have the right domain name, it should be worth some money. In this case, I just felt like it was hidden. So nobody's mentioned that they saw it yet. I'm curious as to if anybody had it on their list. But yeah, bookpremiere.com. Loving it. Okay, so that was one of the super secret ones. If you're watching live, you have inside information about that domain name that possibly others did not have. So I don't know. I think it's good stuff. Let me see if Skycam. Unfortunately, I lost Skycam, which is a bummer to me because I really like Skycam. And okay, well, that's a bummer. I was going to need that if I was going to do any more cards or anything. So, okay. So we'll see. Got to overcome and adapt. So 37 minutes into the show, bookpremiere.com. It's a unique domain. Curious, how would you build it? Always interested in knowing how people would build it. So if you're watching this on Restream or watching it live, either way, if you're live, you can mention it in the chat. If you're watching it Restream, mention it in the comments. Let me know. Team Replay out there, how would you build bookpremiere.com? I say, should we do another domain? Let's go with, let me see. I requested that some people, I was talking about possibly taking some domains off of Twitter and talking about them. And we'll see if I get to any of those. It's probably going to be a little tough on time. I fly by the seat of my pants on this show. Hopefully it's not too obvious, but it is, Okay. Anyhow, let me get to another great domain name. This is another domain that I was even hesitant to share on the show, primarily because this domain name deals with our primary industry, which is cars and auto care, towing.com being one of our main businesses. The domain name is coming right up. MobileTireCare.com. MobileTireCare.com is the domain name over on GoDaddy. $12 currently, ends in 5 days. We're going to start the clock. As someone who deals quite a bit with business in the towing industry, I can tell you one of the top things that are searched, inside information. Probably doesn't take much to come up with that inside information, but tire stuff, tire changes, tire fixes, and in many cases, they're done remotely, on the side of the road or parking lots. I know just 2 winters ago, I was driving, and the car in front of me managed to swerve and miss a pothole, and I had one of those moments like, oh, crap, boom, like bottomed out my car on a pothole. And well, needless to say, flat tire shortly after. And while I was in a meeting, I called a towing company which I found on towing.com, called them and had them come and do a tire change for me. But Mobile Tire Care is very much it. Like a lot of what they do when they're dealing with tires, they can do mobily if they have the right equipment. And I'm sure there's services out there that specifically deal with tires, not just tow trucks. Or, oh, didn't even think about this. On the heavy duty side, you ever been driving down the highway and you see those giant tire treads that are just in the middle of the highway or off on the side? Shortly after, there's a big semi truck. Well, they lost the outer thread off their tire, and they call tire companies. Commercial mobile mechanics are typically what they're called. They come and replace those tires on the spot. So mobiletirecare.com, great domain for that. This is a service-based domain name, likely goes along with the idea of a nationwide searchable database of mobile tire care companies. So companies that will come to you on the side of the road, fix your tire, get you back on the road, searchable, all on mobiletirecare.com. Unique selling proposition is, I think it's pretty straightforward. But if you're on the side of the road and you need somebody to come out and provide tire care, mobile tire care, mobiletirecare.com has you. You can find all the mobile tire care providers near you. Act fast. Authoritative domain name. You can, if I told you mobiletirecare.com, chances are you know exactly what you're expecting to find on that domain. That is domain authority. That's that idea that you can kind of trust what's there because it's exactly what you expect to find there. Let me see. So there we go. That would be the authority. Awareness would be because you don't plan on tire issues, you have to show up in the search engines. You have to do paid stuff. You basically will have to either do pay-per-click or you would have to do lots of SEO to compete with me for tire change related keywords with towing.com. So, but either way, you can do that. And lots of room. So mobiletirecare.com, how would you build it? Anybody interested in that one? I'm always curious as to all the people that are watching auctions. Is that a domain name that you're interested in yourself? So there we go. And this is my sister here. She is asking, would I target major tire resale businesses like tire discounters? Realistically, anytime. Now, here's what you can do. I would not. I typically do not target big companies. I like to find the mom and pops. There's so many tire places out there that are going to serve the tire industry that, tire discounters, you search right now for any tire related keyword, you're going to find national brands out there. But realistically, what I really like to do is empower the local companies, those smaller mom and pop companies, to have a resource such as mobiletirecare.com to give them a way to get business that the big guys probably won't do. Because realistically, good luck getting a big national brand to join something. They might do it, but only after you're proven. They have different marketing, advisors and things. It just takes forever to get with the small business people, like the scrappy companies. Okay, so there we go. And let me see. So what do you think? Mobiletirecare.com. And that's just let's go on to another one. I'm loving these. I'm loving the domain names that we have this week. And I want to keep bringing them to you. I want to keep doing 3-minute business plans, possibly lose my voice in the meantime because need to hydrate more. Okay, let's go with this one here. Localflowerdelivery.com, starting the clock right off the bat. 5 days, currently $12. You'll see a theme. All these domains are still currently pretty cheap. One of two reasons why. One, nobody knows about them. Doubt that's the case. Two, a lot more people are waiting till the end of the auctions to bid. So I know I do that a lot nowadays. Try not to show my hand too early. So you won't know what a domain name's worth until later on. So get on, auctions.godaddy or any of the auction houses and make sure you're following domains beforehand and bail out if it's too much. Know what it's worth to you. Valuing a domain, that's going to be a good topic for a future show. Okay, localflowerdelivery.com. My aunt one year, my Aunt Lois, opened a florist, and I spent around Mother's Day, I went and learned a little bit about arranging flowers. I've had a very full life, done a lot of many things, but I learned a little bit about arranging flowers, how the flower business worked, and then I also Mother's Day is #1 flower delivery day. I help deliver flowers. Localflowerdelivery.com there's a lot of different things you can do. I could see it being a overflow service. I'll take this in a weird route. The problem is days like Mother's Day, florists do not have enough delivery drivers. Maybe localflowerdelivery.com is the DoorDash of flowers, to where when local florists need extra delivery hands, localflowerdelivery.com essentially calls the flower Uber to come and make flower deliveries for them or something. I'm sure there's a problem there. Very limited time frame that they need help. Most days it's probably pretty easy, straightforward. Problem is they need help delivering, at least on certain days. Solution is Local Flower Delivery is the logistics provider to take away the complicated logistics of your local flower delivery piece of your florist company. And there's a lot of tools and things you could probably provide for it too, like helping to route the vehicles and different things, deliveries. This could be a SaaS play too, SaaS, software as a service. Authority, localflowerdelivery.com. It says exactly what you expect to find on it. Some kind of tool, some kind of service related to local flower delivery. Flowerdelivery.com would be a better domain, but realistically, localflowerdelivery.com. You don't lose a ton by adding that extra word. It makes sense, remains authoritative. And then awareness is going to be a matter of calling if you're doing a service, or a lot of pay-per-click targeted ads through Facebook or Google. I don't know, localflowerdelivery.com. If you owned it, how would you develop it? I don't know. I thought that was a pretty fun one. I like anytime I see a domain name that's, $12 out there, I want to make sure I try to have a range of domains that I bring to you. Hopefully some of them stay low price. I've seen domains I've mentioned on here that sold for $12. So it just really comes down to if you're interested, kind of that whole why. Let me say, 13 minutes left. I'll talk a little bit about next week. I have a special show planned for next week that I hope you'll join me for. We're going to expand on the why. I've talked a little bit about my why, how I want to have an impact, how I want to contribute, but there's a little bit more to it. A lot of why I'm an entrepreneur and I create is I want to be able to live a full life. If you want to live a full life, you know what you're going to need? Time and resources. Resources being you're going to need some money. You're going to need some amount of money to allow you to live the life you want. Makes sense, right? I'm not talking too complicated there. So one of the things that I've done in my life is I have designed my entire life around being able to travel. I want to be able to travel. I want to be able to go places. And in order for that to be the case, if I do it as often as I want, I need to be able to work remotely. And that includes this show. So next week, next Monday, I'm going to be in San Diego, California, delivering to you from Domain to Profit. So I'm going to fly out. It's only the second time I've flown since lockdown. Heading out to San Diego, staying at a place that I stay often, right there in the gas lamp district of San Diego. And I'm going to be trying to do this show from my room. Hopefully the internet's good enough. But on firsthand, we'll be talking about why, not the why. Today is what's your why. Instead, we're going to be taking your why and talking about your passion and how you can use that passion to find and develop a domain-based business. So you might, I'll talk about it next week, but towing.com, for example, I don't really have a passion for the towing industry. That was a business I kind of stumbled into. Since then, though, I have been purposefully choosing domain names and businesses to develop that are more in line with my passions. For example, photobooths.com, djs.com, bartenders.com. Those are some of the domains and businesses I'm going to be developing, and they're super exciting to me because I like to drink. I like to travel. Oh, and tourguides.com. I like to drink. I like to travel, and I like to maybe not have a good time personally, but I like to be around people having a good time. I like to people watch. All of those domains I picked up because they deal with my passion. And next week, we're going to talk about how we can map your passion to a domain name and find the money related to what it is that your hobby or interest is. So it should be, well, it will be a really good show to watch. I hope to really bring a lot of value because number one question people are always asking is, how do I develop a business around my passion? How do I make money from my passion? Which realistically, in most cases, you can't. In domains, you can. You can find a domain name and build a business based around your passion. So I'm going to talk about that and show you how I would do it and how I've done it next week. And we're going to be doing it remote from San Diego. So who knows what all is going to happen. I got to take all, the tech that I have here, take it over there. Should be fun. So maybe you'll just see an example of Drew messing crap up. We'll see. It's bound to happen. Happens. Forget to hit the stinking mute button like every week. Okay. So join me next week. Mark your calendars. Make sure you do it. I'll probably talk about it a little bit more. Yeah. And if you're in San Diego, we can have a socially distanced beverage together. So reach out. Okay. Tweet at me. Let's move on to another. We'll do 2 more domains. The last one I'll end with will be my favorite. But for now, let's bring up this domain here, which is also a very good domain name. Another $12 one hidden in the domains. Starting the clock. Streamingconcerts.com. So when I saw this domain, specifically Alvin, who deals in the domain name industry, he reached out early into the show weeks and weeks ago. We're week 13 now. He was like week 1, 2. I was having so many issues trying to set up this show and get things to work. And he's like, hey, he was trying to help out. And I was like, so how do you have this experience doing this? And hopefully he's okay with me sharing this, but he has helped quite a few churches set up their streams and be able to stream their services. Really cool thing that he does. And he was super helpful to me. And so I thought of him when I saw streamingconcerts.com, because essentially the problem is lots of concerts out there are going to go remote. They're going to need to be able to stream and have a good enough quality that people actually want to participate. And there's only going to be a handful of people that truly have experience, like Alvin does with churches. There's only going to be a few people, a handful of people that have experience at different levels streaming concerts. So where are you going to find the people that stream concerts? Guesses? About streamingconcerts.com. Hello, boom. So whether you are passionate about streaming concerts or streaming and pulling them together for streamingconcerts.com, the problem is people need help streaming their concerts. There's all kinds of concerts. There's not just giant mega concerts. There's all kinds of smaller ones as well that people are going to need to stream. You can be the service provider or pull together those service providers all on this marquee domain name, streamingconcerts.com. Problem is, I'm trying to get, nope, Skycam's still down. So problem is, people need a place to find people that deal with the streaming concerts, and the timer reset. Dagnabbit. Okay. Solution is streamingconcerts.com brings together maybe some how-tos as well as the professionals that provide the service in your area. Authority is a domain name. Great domain name. Says exactly what you're going to find on it. And you can even do things like show concerts that are currently streaming and things. I don't like video streaming. I don't get into it as far as hosting it. I don't get into that much. But you may be the techie that does. There you go, streamingconcerts.com. Awareness, word of mouth, social media, pay-per-click. Depends on how you monetize. If you're doing a directory and things, because it would be new, you'd want to start with pay-per-click for sure. And Google ads, YouTube ads are going to be huge for you. So, yeah. So streamingconcerts.com. Anybody know about this one already? Anybody going to be bidding on this one? Streamingconcerts.com. How would you build this one out? And along the lines of streamingconcerts.com, yeah, it's a good domain name. I dig it. So hopefully you do too. That's not the super secret one. Now that we're down to 5 minutes left, if you stuck with me this long, hopefully you find this next domain name that I found buried in the into the auctions. You know, a lot of people, we will look through expired domain names and we look for the ones that have a high appraisal and may go through 1 page, 2 pages, several thousand domains. But you have to go pretty deep for this one here. And let's see if you agree. Let's see if you like it as much as I do. For our final 3-minute business plan of the day, here it is. Sitterservice.com. Sitterservice.com. Okay. Well, there you go. Hopefully you like it as much as me. 3-minute timer. I'll tell you how I would develop this out. Sitter Service. The reason why I absolutely love this domain name is I like, as I've mentioned before, to take local providers, mom pop businesses, my cousin Sally's brothers, sisters who watches and sits dogs while people travel, or people that watch other people's kids, pet sitting, kid sitting, sitting. Like there's so much flexibility on the domain name. You bring them in one place, ratings, reviews of sitting services, sitter services, and it's a pretty, like, does that make sense? I love this. Like this was buried. Did anybody know about this one yet? I'd love to know. Looking through domain names is always like an Easter egg hunt, and this was one that I was kind of like, oh my gosh, is that right? Sitter service. So needless to say, I'll maybe possibly participating in this one. Maybe. Okay. So I would do this one very much exactly the internet marketing as a service business plan that we do, which is, I wish I could do the cards. Man, I really wish I could do the cards because this would be one that I want to mark out on the cards. Homepage, local search by service. So whether it's pet sitting or child sitting based on age, what kind of pet sitting even, pet boarding even, you know, whether you're doing pets or children, how do you want to do the sitting and find the local services near you? Boom, search, find them. The people that you're finding or to be those people, like, could literally be individuals that are looking, that are just passionate about pets or whatever. They pay either a small annual fee, maybe there's a free registration even, although I don't like free very often because there's a level of trust that comes when somebody's willing to put a credit card out there. But, you know, you could do something along the lines of they register, you show a searchable database, and you make your money through that way. I like that a lot better than there's a company out there, care.com, great domain name, and they do that kind of thing, show sitter services and things. The only thing is they do it based on, they charge like transaction fees and they try to make money off of it. It's just so freaking complicated. That's, you know, we're trying to tap this domain name and pull off some of the revenue to where we're sharing a great domain name with a lot of people and we're not working really hard doing it. Care.com built a tower on top of a domain name where all we want to do is tap it. So, okay, well, sitterservice.com, great authoritative domain name, probably great, pretty easy to have awareness. I love it. Hope you love it too. Always curious as to how you would build it. So please, in the comments or chat, let me know. Or just tweet at me. Hey, Drew, Drew Wash, W-A-S-H, Drew Wash is my Twitter handle. Feel free to tweet at me anytime. I love domains, business, respond in most cases. Well, shoot. I wanted to mention some of the domains. Along the lines of streaming concerts, I will mention that Vito, who's here with us, Vito.tv on Twitter, he mentioned remoteevents.com was a domain. That one goes hand in hand with that. I'm sure he's probably taken notes on or probably already had streamingconcerts.com down on his. That piggybacks with it. And then a shout out to Busy Father, @BusyFather on Twitter. He mentioned the domain name orderburgers.com. which that just tickles me for some reason. I don't know what it is. Orderburgers.com. Great domain name. Would be fun to develop out. Didn't get to it this week. Maybe we'll get to it another week. Maybe you're passionate about burgers and we can talk about that next week. So this is Drew Walsh, week 12 of From Domain to Profit. Thank you so much for joining me. And this is good stuff. I hope you enjoyed it and take care.